Hey guys, I just wanted to go over threads again really quick just to help us be a little bit more consistent and clean in our Slack usage. So this is my test channel, and you can see that today I actually posted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 separate messages. Now it looks on the screen like it's kind of a continuation of one message, but actually in fact there are 3 messages. This one's a message thread, this is the originator of the message, my original message thread. This is a message about a text to thread on your iPhone. This is a message about purple people eaters. This is a message about the amazing CU Buffs. And this is a message about me leaving Colorado and going to Fiji. So if you can tell that if I wasn't the only person texting in here or messaging in here, this could just become a huge mess, right? If I've created a message about texting threads on your iPhone, and then maybe say James replies to that, and then I text about purple people eaters, and then Jared replies to that, and then I text about CU Buffs, and then Matt's like, no, it's Kentucky, and then I'm going to Fiji, and then Michelle's like, hey, can I come with you? Then you can see how it can get really, really messy and convoluted. So even though this looks like it's all one thread, it really is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 separate messages. So when you see a thread that you want to respond to, you need to highlight over, when you see a message communication that you want to respond to, you need to highlight over the message, and then you click this little speech bubble. If you're the first person responding, it's going to say start a thread. Okay, so I'm just going to say test. Okay, now once I've responded in a thread, it'll pick up right here, and you can see. I'll click out of this. You can see this is how you're going to reply to this thread. So if somebody else wants to reply to the message thread, then they're going to simply click reply here. If that gets confusing, if you go over the speech bubble, it'll say reply to thread instead. So either way, it's going to kick you over into this thread. Testing 1, 2. Okay, there we go. So that sort of creates a really simple pathway to start communicating about this. Okay, so let's say Brad is like, hey, how do I text on my iPhone? So you're the first person responding, so you start a thread. And Brad says, this looks different on my phone. Okay, now Brad has responded to my thread, and now I have a separate thread. Okay, again, who is going to do purple people eaters? I think that's Jared. Jared says, I prefer green. Okay, and here's my thread. Matt's going to respond to the thread here that says, go KU. Oh wait, not KU. Go Kentucky. I was like, I almost gotten fired over that. Okay. But then somebody else comes in and says, wait a second, Kentucky is definitely not going for the win, and then we hit reply to thread. Now, if I were to put Duke in here, I would for surely get fired. So somebody else is going to say, go Rams. Okay. All right, so finally heading to Fiji, Michelle starts a thread and says, can I come with? And replies. Okay, so now you can see that my original 5 messages now are really clearly delineated as 5 messages. And so when Chris comes in and he really, really needs to get into the conversation about purple people eaters, it'll be much easier for him to understand that these are 5 separate messages that I've started. And he can come right into the purple people eater. Again, he can either go into reply to a thread, or he can go to reply. Either way works. And he can come in and say, wait, yellow rocks. Okay. All right, so that's how you start threads and keep sort of our message communication board clean. I'm going to also show you in this video how to do it differently on your phone, because on your phone it looks even more like a single message thread. So I'll show you that in just a second. Okay guys, we're going to look now at what it looks like to start a thread and use threads on your app, on your phone. But before we go there, I just want to kind of give you an overview of the phone usage. Remember that using Slack on your phone is really limited. You have access to threads, your calendar, your channels, and your direct messages. So using your Slack on your phone is really just for like on the go, not for more in-depth stuff. But it's even more important that when you're using it on your phone, that you're responding appropriately, because it can look like you're in a thread when you're really not. Okay, so let me go back here. I check on my test channel, and you can see here's all of the threads that we started just previously, right? Purple People Eater, see you buffed to the win. So if you can imagine, this isn't just me, of course. This is all 11 of us doing different messages on one board. But this is an easier way for us to understand that when we want to talk about Purple People Eaters on the phone, it's really simple. You just click on the Purple People Eaters, and it gives you straight into the thread, right? And so when you reply, you're replying green, go green, right? You're replying into the thread. So the key to replying to threads on the phone is just to remember to tap the thread that you want to talk into, and it'll take you straight to where you need to go. Now, if you're the first one creating a thread, if a new message came up that you want to respond to, then same thing actually applies. So I just started a thread called Reading Rainbow. So somebody wants to reply in here, you tap on the Reading Rainbow link, and it'll give you a really clear indicator. It only lets you start a thread, because this is where Slack wants to push us to, right? So you start a thread, and you can say, I love LeVar Burton, but I don't know how to spell his name, so we're going to call him LB. Okay, right? So you hit back to go to a different thread now, or to see what other messages were shown. So now Reading Rainbow has a thread, and we can continue talking in here. But then you notice a new message. Somebody comes up and says, hey, I'd like to make some student capture videos. Oh, and you know what? Trevor has a response. He loves them on ESPN. So he starts a thread. I love the ESPN version. Check those out. Check those out for ideas. Okay? Cool, right? So then you have back to your thread. So now you have access to all these different threads. Again, the way you get into your thread is by clicking on the message itself, the original thread itself, right? It'll take you into the thread screen, or you can type on the highlighted blue that lets you get into the same screen. So I'm going to Fiji, Michelle's coming, we're taking Brad, and Jared's coming too. Jared's in. Okay, right? So that is your quick tutorial on the iPhone thread.